Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 158. Aaron, what you could not see while the entrance was going on there is me just absolutely rocking out. I love that intro. It was Christian, right? You want to plug him real quick, actually?
Sure. This is a guy I went to high school with, and he went to the Berklee School of Music. He is a magician on not just the guitar, but every single instrument. So I had asked him, before we started the show, if he could make a theme song for us, and he got back to me about a year later. He plays every instrument, so guitar, drums, bass, dropped it all down, and we went back and forth a couple times, and we got what we got, and it is awesome. It's an original score, so it is only used for us, and we licensed it, so we own it. It's fantastic, and the whole thing is maybe 2 minutes long, I think, the whole shebang. But Christian Habedick is his name. Him and his wife play in a band, and they live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So nice plug there for him.
Very cool stuff. Yeah, I'm sitting there just air drumming it and stuff. Anyway, Aaron, we had a couple games this week. Sharks did, I guess, okay, we can say, because they did kind of what we wanted them to do, but then they also did some other cool stuff. And it was an interesting week of hockey, to say the least. Before we jump into that, again, please, guys, if you are tuning in, make sure that if you're liking the video so far and you think you're going to like it in the future here, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, do hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get the notifications. You guys know when we're going live and we can have these conversations. More importantly than any of that, though, for me at least, share, guys. Retweet us. Share us out to anybody that you've got, friends and family, Facebook, that kind of stuff. Get it out there. The more people we get in doing comments, the more fun this turns out to be. So get as many folks in here as you possibly can. Just a reminder, you can use the super chat function if you'd like to support the show. Thank you, super producer Jason. There you go. And then also you could use the Venmo. It's at the Fin Factor. I just called it the Venmo. I feel like what's it? Betty White said, and the Facebook, right? So you can tip us on Venmo, and anything that we get there in terms of the message, we can read out to you guys in the comment section and put it live in the show. So there you go. Aaron, should we kick it off here with the whole review of the last week's games?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay, so there was a 4-2 loss against the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, this is kind of like what we were thinking was going to happen, almost what we're kind of hoping is going to happen at this point. We'd like them to, if you're going to lose and you're not going to be a playoff team, we don't want you guys to be right on the cusp. We want you kind of down a little bit lower, get a nice draft pick there. So something happened in this game, and it really is not even like the players that we wanted to talk about here. The fourth goal got scored for Vegas, and the goal horn went off. What is going on there?
Yeah, right. It's the home game for the Sharks. So the goal horn should not be going off when the other team scores a goal, let alone the fourth goal of the game to go up 4-2 with like 5 minutes and change left in the game. It was kind of weird. It kind of threw me off for a second. Do you remember when hockey first came after the lockout? It went to Versus, the channel, or it was the Outdoor Life Network, changed their name to Versus.
Yeah.
They started covering all the national coverage for hockey. They were putting goal horns artificially on the TV feed for the away team, which is always weird. It always throws you off. But that just reminded me of it. I was like, oh my gosh, someone actually blew the real horn at the arena went off. And it was just brief. It was just like the guy woke up and was like, oh, hit the button. And like, oh, shoot, wrong team. And then, so it was just like, and then off. So it wasn't like the full horn, the full effect, but I'm sure the Vegas Knights thought it was hilarious. especially with there's a decent amount of Knights fans in attendance because Tuesday night games are just poorly attended. They're just hard to get to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just silly.
I think this season there's definitely going to be more away crowd showing up in the tank. Unfortunately, super producer Jason with the emojis down there having a good time. Aaron, we've got a clip here of Coach Quinn. Not very happy with the performance of the team. I don't know if you want to set this one up here, but basically, he's just there are certain things that were happening in the game. And he says, we've practiced this, we've gone over this, and then it happened right in the game, and he's not very happy about it. So why don't you go ahead and set this thing up? I think it had to do with the faceoffs.
Sure. There was a couple goals and a couple chances that were almost goals where the Vegas Knights just, or I should say the Sharks just blew the coverage on faceoff circle. And you can hear the frustration in Quinn's voice in this quote or in this clip here, that he's just so angry at the team because I feel like this is something that they've been focusing on and working on. And he even mentions that they kind of like dumbed it down to make it simpler so that nobody would blow coverage. And yet they still messed it up royally a handful of times this game. So here's Quinn after the game when he was asked about the blown coverage on faceoffs.
Hey, you mentioned the face-off coverage. That was an issue with in the New York trip too. Yeah. Is there anything consistent that's
it's just mental? You got to be friggin' ready when a puck's dropped on a face-off. And we've gone over it, and we're going to keep going over until we get it right. It's just being mentally ready on a face-off. And we've simplified it to the point where people have the same responsibilities, win or lose. Very simple. And we blew coverage.
That is an intense coach right there. I would never want to be trouble. I would never want to be on that man's bad side. That's like principal's office right there. Like, one-on-one meeting with Quinn when he's mad. No thanks.
Sounds like me when I'm upset with my kids. Look, I've told you, I don't know how many times. Okay, when it's time to brush your teeth, you brush your teeth, kid. Okay, we're not reading books right now.
Hear that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that sounded like a guy who pretty much had enough, and he's 11, 12 games into the season now. Well, maybe in that clip it was 10, but I mean, yeah, he did not sound happy whatsoever. It almost reminds me. I think it was Pete DeBoer actually. He was yelling at. Oh gosh, it's a no-name player. It was one of those guys that people were high on because he's a big body, but he just kept screwing everything up, and he was like screaming at the guy at practice. Like, we've gone over this. I'll put you on the bench instead. I cannot remember the guy's name, but he was basically a one-year player. But
I thought you put that news on Twitter somewhere that he was getting yelled because the guy was also like a scapegoat for a lot of fans for doing bad things. And I can't remember who that is either. I can't remember
his name. Yeah, he's a big kind of Russian-ish type guy, I think, but anyway, It doesn't matter. So very unhappy with the blown coverage on the faceoffs. I think when looking at that one again, it seemed like Ferraro was kind of chasing it down, and I don't think he was the one that blew it. I think he was the one that was recovering and trying to fix it. And if I'm correct, I believe it was LeBanc that was on that wing, and I think he was the guy that maybe was doing it wrong. So Yeah, it's something that he says, what, we've done it. We've simplified it. It's the same responsibilities. We're going to go over it again in practice. I would not want to be at that practice. That seems like one where burpees involved, perhaps. But,
that's a bag skate practice right there.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, okay, so beyond that one, the second period, it looks a little bit better in this game, right? So we've got a note here. It says 5 consecutive goals to go from being outscored 16-3 to 16-8. Okay. So they've kind of been coming back a little bit here in the second period. That's a good thing, right? Things are turning around in that period. The first period, they've been doing all right. And it seems like the third period now is kind of where they're having more issues. So why don't you kind of go through those goals by period here and we'll talk about that.
Sure. It's just, it's an interesting stat because it kind of shows the Sharks are scoring first in almost every game here. They're not really playing from behind. They're kind of playing with the lead, but they're not strong enough team to really play at the lead. So for a while, the second period was the worst period. And right now it's kind of switching to the third period, which is that's probably the worst period you'd want to have as your worst period. So that was those stats were from before or after the Vegas game. as of now, goals for in the first period are 9 and against are 5. So they're still winning the first period. The second period is now 11-18. So even since then, they have not given up a goal in the second period. Third period, they only have 2 goals for in the third and 11 against. That's not good. I don't know if you know that, but that's not good.
That's bad.
And I don't even know if any of those are empty netters, like maybe one. So it's not like it's a bunch of empty netters there. So the Sharks are kind of riding the ship in the second period, thankfully. And maybe they can right the ship in the third period without, plugging a hole here and the other leak comes back out when the second period just goes terribly wrong again. So yeah, that's kind of like their Achilles heel right now is now the third period and not so much the second period.
Yeah, as you said, not exactly the period you want to have the downturn in is the third there. But again, for what we think the Sharks will be and where we think the Sharks are going to end up, again, not such a bad thing necessarily, right? If you're gonna kind of collapse, maybe the third period is the right place to collapse, and we can rack up those losses and hopefully get a better position for the draft. But obviously, again, it's one of those things where we want it to be entertaining hockey still. So if you show up for the first period and then you have to leave, maybe that's the best way to go about doing it. I don't know, but I think you'd rather see them kind of be in the thick of it throughout and not just kind of collapse. It'd be a little bit more fun to watch that way. So I see Kessel and Classy by Sharks. Why don't you explain what that means? Because that is something you just put in there.
Sorry, I just remembered. This is the game that Phil Kessel broke the NHL record for the Ironman streak. He beat out, blanking on his name now. There was a defenseman that used to play for Arizona too. Yandel. Yeah, thank you, Keith Yandel. So he beat his consecutive games played, which is ridiculous. 980 games straight without missing a game. So the Sharks actually put it on the video board, like a congratulations, explained kind of to the crowd, like it was Danny Miller. I think it was during commercial break. So during the commercial break, the crowd, Danny Miller explained that the whole record and how he broke it and everything. And Phil Kessel apparently didn't want anything done. And so the Sharks are like, no, that's not how we do things here. We're a classy. Mm-hmm. Even if you play for Vegas and even if you've never played for the Sharks, we're going to do something and recognize greatness. So it's funny. Phil Kessel, the hot dog man that has set the NHL record for consecutive games played, is just amazing. Just goes to show how great hot dogs are for your body and how you should eat more of those kids. But all kidding aside, Phil Kessel did score a goal in this game, which is amazing. So he did what Kessel does and beats a guy out with speed, gets around the corner, protects the puck, and puts it up high and got, I think it was the first goal of the game. And it was like only a minute or two after this this celebration thing that the Sharks put on. So I blame the Sharks fully for getting him a goal.
Gatorade and hot dogs, the dinner of champions, apparently. Aaron, he's back. Lundy with $1.99 in the super chat should have brought Braun back after trading Burns. Hey, Lundy, it's great to have you back, buddy. Thanks for helping support the show. And of course, the comment had to deal with Justin Braun. You know what? I don't even necessarily disagree. I wouldn't mind having Bronner back.
I would have liked it. I wouldn't have minded. I was hoping that they would kind of sign him because he was a free agent this last summer, but they went out and signed some younger guys. I mean, I don't blame them either. Yeah. Maybe if the Sharks are more of a contender and they wanted to use him in their bottom pairing, they might have done it. But I think they wanted to. I mean, they signed a bunch of guys to some contracts this summer. So Harrington, I think Benning, Nutavara, those guys. A lot of people didn't really care for Benning. I cannot say a bad thing about Benning because he gave both of my kids sticks. Did I tell this story already, Aaron? Yeah, he bought you off basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about him now. It's. I'm sorry, guys. He's a great defenseman. That's all there is to it. He gave my kids sticks. He's a great defenseman. Sorry.
I think people are upset because he signed for 4 years, which is kind of odd.
That was out of the blue, I think. Yeah. That's a little strange, but
I thought it would have been a 1 or 2 year deal, not 4. That just seems very long for a guy that in 4 years I would hope would not make the team, if that makes sense.
That's a fair assessment. But you know what? Apparently he's the type of guy that he's playing the game the way that they want them playing the game. Same thing with like Sturm, for instance. And so they lock him in for that amount of time, thinking, okay, by the time these contracts are ready to go or up, we should be kind of where we want to be, and that'll be like their last little go at it, and then maybe we do the re-sign. So I think that I don't want to question Grier just yet. We're going to let him kind of get through his first season first, and then we can maybe pick it apart a little bit more. So there you go. Got to keep the meme alive, Lundy says. Lundy, as long as you're visiting the chat here, I'm sure we'll have that. We'll keep that going. No worries, buddy. The Sharks Toronto game, and I think who was it back up here said they're called the Toronto Make Me Laughs. Zach Croft with a beautiful one there. Thank you so much for that. I just call them the Maple Laughs, but the Make Me Laughs is totally great. I like that one too.
Poor Zach. Zach lives in Toronto, so he gets nothing but Maple Leaf stuff just shoved down his throat every day. So he's very happy that the Sharks beat them.
But one of the biggest Sharks fans you'll ever meet living in Toronto. It's a shame, to be honest with you. But hey, that time he came out here, man, it was great having him out. There's a lot of media coverage on that one. So really cool whole thing. I don't know if you got to see that whole story. I know you should find it online, I'm sure, somewhere. But the game on what was it? Was it Thursday that they played?
Thursday
against Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, Couture comes out, scores 2 goals, just some beautiful goals, and then it looks like he scores a third. Hats are getting thrown on the ice and whatnot, and everybody misses that. Actually, Timo Meier gets his first of the season off of a tip, so he's off the schneid. How do they have a program where they say, look, if you throw your hat, come to section 116, there's a table, and grab your hat back?
No, it's done. No. I mean, most of those hats get donated to charity after the game. So I think what they normally do is they let the player who gets the hat trick go through and see if he wants to keep any, and then donates the rest of them to charity. Some players like to keep some don't. So probably depends on how many hat tricks you score. If it's like your only hat trick in your career, most likely would be your only hat trick in your career, they would probably keep a hat or two, you know. The rest of them are like, these are gross. These are sweaty hats. I don't want these.
I mean, if it was a Fin Factor hat, I could see them wanting to keep it, you know.
Would you throw your hat?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then immediately regret it when they give the credit to Timo Meier?
Yeah, no, okay. Get a little media coverage on the ice as they're panning the camera around all the hats on the ice, though, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
I was going to pull a clip of Timo talking about his goal, but I like Timo. I'm not going to talk smack about him, but his interviews are just dreadful. They're just so monotone and so awful. They're like, they asked him about the goal. He's like, oh yeah, you know, it's nice to get one. It was. Then they asked, like, did you know right away? He goes, oh yeah, I knew. I tipped it. I knew it was mine. Like, that was it. Like, cool quote, dude. Thanks.
All right. Well, from going to a little not smack talk, what that just was, why don't we go into a little bit of praise? Erik Karlsson, you've got a note here, says he lost his stick, but he made a pretty smart play without it. So go ahead, walk us through it.
He lost his stick, I think, closer to the blue line, and Mitch Marner was closing in on him under the goal. And I think Marner knew that he didn't have a stick, so he tried to go around him. And instead of Karlsson, I don't know, trying to push him or grab him even and taking a penalty, he kind of does a Kyle McLaren and throws a hip check out and pushes him off balance and kind of throws him into the end board. So I just thought it was a very heads up, smart play by Karlsson to not take a penalty and to break up the play. It was pretty cool. Plus, you know, Mitch Marner's tiny, so I'm sure he's easy to hip check if Karlsson was able to hip check him.
You know, and it's funny because he doesn't get credit for being a physical defenseman, obviously, because he's not. But in this case, again, using his body the right way, doesn't have a stick with him, and makes a good play. So Erik Karlsson right now, and we'll talk more about it in a bit, but he's just on a tear right now. He's playing the best he's played, I think, probably ever to start a season. I mean, he's really taken off. I mean, offensively, he's leading the team, and then defensively, he's doing things like this. I understand the price tag on Erik Karlsson is high, and I understand the hate, but I've been on that train. I'm staying on that train, and I'm just glad that this season so far, he's kind of showing that, yes, I still have what it takes. I don't know if that has more to do with him being like the man now because Burns isn't there anymore, but whatever it is, it's working. So yeah, I'm really happy for him. I'm happy that he's playing as well as he is. Again, even if we're losing games, totally okay with that. I know where we are as a team, but again, if the goal is to be entertaining in those losses, he's certainly not disappointing in that regard. So there you go. Before we move on, because this is something I know you want to try to poke in my face, I want to remind everybody, please, the liking and the subscribing, all that is great. Please, though, if you can get us out there, share us, retweet us, take a second right now to get over to whatever social media platform you're on, push us out there, get some more folks in here. We'd love to have a chat with the people that you like talking with. And, maybe after the show's over, you guys be at the water cooler talking about this stuff too. So get them in here. We'd love to have more comments and chat with you folks. We've got some comments in here. Lenny says if Braun was on the Rangers still, I would get to see him in November. Okay. Not sure what that's about, but that'd be cool. Kellen Foster saying, I'm sorry.
That means he's going to the Ranger Philly game.
Oh, okay. There you go. McDavid has recently bought a storage unit for all his hat trick hats. Yeah, I could see that one. Scott with a very insightful hello. Hello, Scott. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate that. And then Noah Claxton, speaking of Erik Karlsson here, saying he's making a case for that contract to be tradable. Absolutely. And Aaron and I, we talked about this a little bit. And I think, Aaron, maybe we'll put that conversation off just a little bit because we're going to talk about him in the Tampa Bay game here as well. But before we get to that, we'll talk about the ads on the Leafs jerseys, because that was the game, was the Toronto Maple Leafs game. So you've got that as something that you want to talk about here. So, okay, talk to me. What about the ads on the Leaf jerseys?
Well, I don't even know if you noticed. Did you notice that there was an ad on the jersey?
Here's the thing. I did not notice that there was an ad on the jersey, but I'm also not a Toronto Maple Leaf fan and don't look at that jersey, so it wouldn't stand out to me. If it was a Sharks jersey with something on it, no matter how small, I'm sure if it's on the front, I'd be like, Maple Leaf, there's something different.
Maple Leafs jersey has always been very clean, just the Maple Leaf, logo in the middle. They barely have any piping or striping or anything. And I mean, look at the white one. The white one, I think it stands out more than the blue one. I don't know. But it's not that noticeable. And yet it brings in so much more revenue for the team and the league. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, again, I come from being a soccer fan where the logo would be about as big as the Maple Leaf logo would be the sponsor logo. And then the little tiny thing in the corner would be the team logo. So it doesn't bother me one bit. I think it's great for the league to get in some extra revenue. And again, I think we talked about this before too. The NBA had started a couple years ago and everyone threw a fit, and now nobody cares. Nobody cares. And it brought in way more money for the NBA. So I see nothing wrong with this. I think people just like to throw a stink about it, try and get as much, attention to it as possible, and then it blows over. We'll go to the Winchester and wait for this to blow over.
So I don't know exactly, because see, here's the thing. Again, if I was a Leafs fan and I'm looking at that, I can understand how a Leafs fan would be like, whoa, wait a minute. Why is there milk on the jersey, right? As a Sharks fan, I would look at it and I don't notice it right away because that's not the jersey that I'm used to looking at, right? If I see, again, a Sharks jersey, I would look at it and go, wait a minute, why is that thing there, right? That's different. I think the general consensus amongst fans is I don't want that jersey if you're going to sell it. If it's on the rink and it's just a little thing, no big deal. But I think the general consensus for fans has been, don't put that on the rack at the pro shop for me to purchase. Take the ad off and let me buy it. You're shaking your head.
I disagree. I heavily disagree.
I could read some responses to a tweet here if you'd like.
I'm sure you could find any response you want to any tweet or anything to back up your thing. But I think the majority of people would say, I want exactly what the team is wearing on the ice because I don't want a replica. I want the genuine jersey. There's a difference. There's every time they make a jersey or they sell jerseys, they sell the genuine jersey that has the fight strap attached to it, right? And it's literally the same jersey that they wear on the ice. And then they make the replica, which is more for fans. It's cheaper. It doesn't have as much. It's not as durable either. Like the material's a little bit lighter. It's just not as quality as you would a real authentic NHL jersey. So when people want the authentic jerseys, many people out there who want exactly what the Sharks are wearing on the ice. They will buy these, and if they have an ad on it, they're going to want the one with the ad on it.
See, and I'm not. We didn't have a word for it. I called it jersey heads because they're sneaker heads. But like, I'm not one of those guys. Like, I have to collect all the jersey, right? That's not me. But I can guarantee you, did you see the Vancouver Canucks had the TD as a Ameritrade or something like that? It's some green logo on their white and blue jerseys, and it just sticks out. And I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to own that jersey. If it was a Sharks jersey that had like a McDonald's M on it, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to buy that. I'll just continue with the jerseys that I have. So I don't know. I mean, some folks would be against it. Some folks would say, you know what? I just want whatever it is the team's wearing. I'll buy it. Right. So I think you'd have that split there. But I mean, you're absolutely right. It's going to bring in more revenue for the teams, right? So they're going to make more money having these things on their jerseys. Then, okay, that's the route they're going to go. And if they're still selling some jerseys, and maybe down the road, they're just whatever. We're just selling all kinds of jerseys anyway because people are used to it now, right? Then, okay, I guess it works out on both ends. And actually, so I can see you're doing this right now. We're going to make this the roll call question. Do you like, this is a stupid question. Do you like ads? Nobody likes the ads. Okay. You're telling me that if they had the opportunity to have their jersey without that ad on it and they made the same revenue, that you would rather, no, put McDonald's on my jersey. You would rather have that? No, come on. Nobody wants the ads.
If they start making ads on the Sharks pick up an ad and it's on their jersey and they only sell the jerseys with ads, would you not buy the jersey?
That's the question you want to ask. It's not, do you like the ads? It's, are you okay buying a jersey that has the ads, assuming that it's the same jersey that the players are wearing on the ice?
Garf
That's
Nielsen.
the question.
Sharks should have.
Sorry, to produce Jason, if you have to type all that out.
Garf Nielsen. Sharks should have Chico's bail bonds ad on the jerseys. It's a winner. I don't know for those that don't really know what the heck that is about. I don't know if they're still there or not, but there was a bail bonds place that would have seats right behind the bench, and they would always have the people who were sitting there wear highlighter yellow or highlighter green. I think it would change T-shirts with the bail bonds ad on it. So basically, it was advertising.
I thought that
so
was
every time
Bad
someone would go to the
Boys
game,
bonds.
Was it?
I think it was Bad Boys bail bonds.
Yeah, it was Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I think it got to the point where the Sharks asked them to not wear it anymore, and it became a thing, like almost, I think, lawyered up kind of thing. So I think they allowed them to do it.
LM approves of an E40 ad. I guess it would say, ooh.
Let's go back a little bit. Lundy, another $1.99. Rangers Kraken. My cousins live in Seattle, so he's going to the Rangers Kraken game. I forgot, because is Braun on the Kraken now?
I do not follow Braun, unfortunately. when he puts Teal back on, I'll follow him, buddy. I look to Braun. I look to Lundy for all of our Braun news. He's our resident Braun specialist.
Let's see. Who is he on? Oh, he's on Philly again. Yeah. So he went Philly. He played 1 year at the Rangers, and then he went back to Philly. So he was on the Rangers last year. Now he's on Philly. That makes sense. This all comments make sense now.
Right. Noah says only if the ad said tank for Bedard. I think it was Nick. I had to change the word, but Nick HBK gave us the hashtag tank hard for Bedard.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I might have to start using that now for all of our tweets.
Good stuff. I mean, honestly, it seems like a lot of people would say, you know what, it'll still end up selling. So, I mean, you're relying on some data from, other sports and whatnot. So I'm assuming if it's worked there, it would work here too. I would just personally, I don't think I would buy it. That's
Marty.
Me.
I like this. Marty McFly. Law Victoria ads, please. That would be awesome.
Yes.
Some orange sauce logo on there.
It
Scott
would work
K.
well for the Barracuda of old with the orange jerseys.
I follow UFC, and when I bought the official Venom gear, it came with crypto advertising on the shoulder. I don't mind because it's legit Fight Night worn merch. See, he doesn't care. Kellen, EPL jerseys sell worldwide with random sponsors that aren't global in presence. Sharks NHL jerseys with Bass Pro Shop in the corner of the chest are still going to sell in the Czech Republic. Absolutely.
They're not going to sell in my house, I'll tell you that, but is what it is. Thank you guys for your feedback. I appreciate that. And we will see. It'd be very interesting to see how if they release any numbers on any of this stuff, how many jerseys sold and that kind of stuff,
I really don't think it's going to hinder jersey sales.
No, well, I mean, I'm just saying it'd be interesting to see if the fans like it or not. Because like you said, we can go on Twitter and find, whatever answer we need to find, right? But the proof's in the pudding, are they selling? Yes or no, right? So it would be interesting to see if we can get those metrics somehow in a year or two or whatever it is when everybody's got it,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, when Couture scores in this game, well, he scored twice, but he gets career goal number 300. Crazy big milestone. Doesn't seem like that much, but honestly, yeah, 300 is a lot of goals. It's a ton of goals. So
that's a 30 goal score for 10 years. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And he was never really more than a 30 goal scorer. So he's been around a while. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Third player in franchise this year. Look at that. You can even get the video in there. Nice work, Jason.
Well done, super producer Jason. Thank you, buddy.
So yeah, only Marlon Pavelski have more career Sharks goals. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, honestly, like
Chichu. How many Chichu have? I guess he never got to 300.
Yeah, Chichu didn't. He had a really nice breakout season. Then beyond that, he didn't really.
I think he went 50, 30, 15 or something. Like he just puttered out, but
off a cliff.
Still, he probably had over 100. That's pretty good for NHL career.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. In this game, Karlsson with the OT winner on a breakaway of all things, a breakaway for Erik Karlsson, right?
Filthy.
This was filthy is the correct word to use. The move he put on, and I wish we had the clip of this, but he said that he had seen it previously, and he's like, if I get a chance, I'll try that out. And here he is on a breakaway, and he's like, yeah, maybe now's the time. Just a beautiful little deke goes upstairs, and man, what a goal. What an absolute beauty of a goal. The guy's got speed. The guy's got hands. He can put the puck in the net still. And going back to the hip check on Marner, even without a stick, he's still making pretty smart defensive plays. Again, he's not perfect. Nobody is. And maybe he's not $11 million good for everybody else's taste. But I mean, I'm happy to have him on the team still. I think he's absolutely putting it together this season so far. And Aaron and I have said a couple of times now, I put a poll up on Twitter. I'm just hoping he gets past that 70 game mark. I would love to see him get past that 70 game mark.
I think this is the year. I think he's going to be fully healthy. I don't know about a full 82 games, but I think he's over that 70 games. And I didn't realize that this was the hottest start of his career too. Like he's never, for how many good years he's had in Ottawa before he was in on the Sharks, he's never been this good so soon. So good things to come, hopefully. I mean, I don't expect this to stay. Like he's leading the league for defensemen, but again, he's also played the most games because he's got 11 games under his belt now, more than the other guys, but we'll take it when we can take it. So good news coming out of a bad season is always welcomed here at the Fin Factor.
Kellen with a couple good comments here. He says it was no Bordelot pass, but Karlsson is filthy. Yeah, the Bordelot passing. If you haven't had a chance to go watch his Barracuda play, man, you are missing out. Give it a look. They are a lot of fun to watch. But going back real quick, and we'll flip back again. He had mentioned about the jerseys. He says, you don't need the jersey, Paul. You have the bending sticks. Fair enough. You are on point, my friend. Absolutely. I do have the bending sticks, and I'm more than happy with them. My kids are more than happy with those. So
are your kids going to use them when they get big enough?
Bro, fans for life, I'm telling you. Yeah, they'll probably end up using it.
Are you going to use them?
I can't. I'm done growing, and I'm much too short. So if I cut his stick, it'd be like about 110 flex at least. So yeah, that's unfortunately not for me. So too bad. So sad. Oh well. But yeah, again, thank you, Kellen, for your comment there. I do appreciate that. Let's see. Karlsson took those boos from the home opener personal. Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
He probably was happy to play against Toronto, where he's going to get a lot more national, international recognition going even to Canada. So I know a lot, like Couture usually steps up his game against Toronto, and he got 2 goals in this game.
Mhm.
So players kind of like, they play Montreal, they play Toronto, they play those original 6 teams where they're going to get a little bit more press and stuff. Not that it's their incentive to do well, but you just kind of get up for those games a little bit more than Arizona Coyotes at a 5,000 seat stadium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get a little more juice in the legs. And going back to that breakaway goal, just absolutely filthy. I was watching it at home and had to be quiet because I was like yelling, like, holy cow, that was quite the goal. I didn't want to wake up my kids because they're all asleep, but that was fun. That was a fun game to watch, and fun that they won. And they almost lost it. Like, they were playing, Toronto had a really good chance at the Sharks' end, and they were able to stop it. And Karlsson broke away before anyone else could, and they were tired and they couldn't catch him. Like, on the breakaway, you see him. He looks back behind him to see how much time and space he had, and he coasts after that point because he realized how far ahead he was. So he had time to actually juke him out of his shorts, which he just absolutely did. It was fantastic.
It may as well have been a shootout. He had that much time. He, like you said, he was coasting in. Kellen with another comment here says, how many points per game is he at? He's got 11 games played, 6 goals, 5 assists. So he is a point per game player. And Kellen says he has to leave a little early. He's got a great night, or have a great night. Neighborhood Hattie watch out. Neighborhood Hattie watch out. I don't know what that means, but have a great night, Kellen. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Okay, let's see. Moving on from that. Karlsson, again, maybe taking those boosts personally, but he certainly stepped his game up when he was playing against fellow countryman Victor Hedman in the next game here, Sharks against Tampa Bay. Now, this one was a regulation 4-3 loss. So they didn't go to OT, didn't pick up a point. So we're kind of like, yeah. But again, this is one of those games where it's exactly what we're hoping for. It's entertaining to watch. They're competitive, but we're still in the hunt for Bedard. So, and honestly, they took him to the brink. They took Tampa Bay all the way to the end of the game. There was, I think it was 1 minute left, the last minute or so, and that's when Tampa Bay pulled ahead there. So they were with them the whole way through. The talent is there. The skill is there. They were probably motivated from 2 games prior when they got screamed at by Coach Quinn. Again, I think they played really well in this game. In some respects, obviously, it's a shame that they lost the game. But, you start looking for just kind of little things that are going the right way. And, we had talked about in a previous show where, you're expecting that, these names on paper, oh, he's a veteran, he's been in the league for a while, he should be good. But then you have to take into account that it's a new coach, a new GM, new line mates, new system, new everything. It's going to take a while for them to kind of gel. And I feel like we're now 11 games in, so the next game is going to be the 12th. I feel like you're starting to see them kind of fall into place with each other and work off each other better. Guys like Cunnin, guys like Sturm, who weren't even on the team previously. And again, a whole new coaching structure and everything. They are absolutely stepping up and playing extremely well. I mean, especially Sturm. Sturm's got like 5 goals now. This is a guy that was playing 4th line minutes in Colorado, I think, before coming over here. And he's certainly earned his ice time with the Sharks. Again, you have to credit Grier. This is the type of player that he wanted. He wants a guy that's going to be one of those hard worker type guys. Puts blue collar, puts the hard hat on and goes out and bangs. And Sturm is getting rewarded by putting the puck in the net. So I'm very happy with this game. I know it's a loss, and maybe again that's kind of what people are looking for. But the competitive nature from the Sharks in this game, and especially coming out of from Karlsson, he picks up another 2 goals in this game alone. It was funny because Hedman scored like right out the gate, and then just seconds later, and it was like less than a minute later, Karlsson's like, "Oh yeah," he buries one. So he ends up with 2 on the night, but it was kind of a nice little duel between him and fellow countryman Victor Hedman. Hedman gets into the box, and then Karlsson scores. So it's kind of like, yeah, you can't stop me. You're behind the gate, bud. Just another good game.
Yeah, I don't think I got this clip, but in the post-game interview, Karlsson, they asked him about Hedman. He goes, yeah, it's his first shift. He scores a goal, and then I go on my first shift, and I score a goal. So they traded barbs on their first shift. It's kind of funny that happens in the game. 2 Swedes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we do have a clip from Karlsson here talking about his hot start onto his season. So here's Karlsson talking about the hottest start ever in his career at age, 30 now? So Here's Karlsson's own words on his own hot start.
Erik got 6 goals in 11 games. It's your best start to a season, to your career. Just any thoughts on that?
No, it's all about how it ends. It's a long year. I keep this pace. I'll score 100, but that's not going to happen. We all know that. That's just the way it is. I think that, like I said, the whole team has made improvements, and I think that our trajectory is going in the right direction. I think that the guys are, more willing to hold on to pucks and making the right plays, and that makes it easier for everybody to play with, myself included. Thanks, guys.
Total pro. Total pro, man. I'm telling you, act like you've been there before. You know what I mean? Hey, any thoughts on that? No, it doesn't matter. What matters is how it ends. And I think we kind of have an idea of how we think it's going to end anyway. But that's the right attitude. This is a guy who was former captain, right? So he's got that mindset. He wants to win. He really does. And this may not be the team that he does it with, and that's fine. But I don't know. I know there's a lot of haters out there. It's just, I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that you wanted to expand, but fire away.
No, I mean, I'm a big Karlsson fan. I think a lot of people don't like him because of his salary, and he's not leading the team in scoring. Well, now he is. So now those people are going to be upset. A lot of people are upset because they blame him for Pavelski being gone too. And I don't believe that was the whole reason why Pavelski left. So just a lot of haters. I mean, going back to the trade, I think the trade itself, we talk about this all the time. The trade itself was fine. It was the kick-ins for him signing with the Sharks, which are now not even legal to do in the league, that really hampered the Sharks, because not that they thought that was going to be a third overall pick going into that next season, but they would have had that pick back and a couple other things. But Josh Norris was a big piece that went over. Imagine, I was thinking about this the other day. Imagine the Sharks got Tavares, which means they wouldn't have gone after Karlsson. They gotten Tavares, and then would they be kind of in the same situation as Toronto and never winning in the first round ever? Would that make Sharks fans happy? Would they be pissed about it? Would the team be blown up over this? There's all kinds of what ifs that could have happened, but had they gotten Tavares, they would have Josh Norris as probably their number 1 or number 2 center right now. I don't think that number 3 overall pick would have been a number 3. They would have had their first round pick, but it wouldn't have been a number 3 overall. So you can't really say that Stützle would have been on the team, or I don't know how you say his name. Stutzle. I don't know. Stützle. Yeah, whatever.
As damn, but it's definitely
not going to work here. So he wouldn't have been on the Sharks either way. So I never think of him that he should have been a Shark, because it wouldn't have played out that way. So anyway, Lundy also says it's his fault that Braun is gone. I like Karlsson. I think he still brings a lot to the team and makes the team better. Just watching him skate the puck out of every situation, it's really amazing how quickly the Sharks can transition out of their zone. Instead of, if they didn't have Karlsson, let's say they didn't even have a puck moving defenseman, him and Burns weren't there, the defenseman would basically be chipping the puck out or bouncing it off the glass to get it out of the zone. It'd be very boring hockey and less playmaking coming out of the back. It'd be a very different team.
Absolutely. I'm looking at a couple of comments here. Martin McFly, I screamed at the TV when EK scored.
Me too.
Nice. Darkened Donkey says Karlsson's trade value going up. Okay, that's something that we've kind of discussed a little bit. Actually, let's talk about that a little bit if we can. Is that okay?
Yeah, you want to go into?
Yeah. So I know somebody else is asking about the whole Grier talking about trading everybody but Hertl, and we will get to that. We'll get to that in a minute here. But before we do, what do you think about Erik Karlsson and a potential trade? Now he's got how many years? 4 or 5? 5 years. I think it's 5 years left on his contract, and of course it's $11.5 million.
He's got 4 more after the season, so 5 including.
Right. So okay, he's in. Yeah. Okay. Do you think that there is a team out there that wants Erik Karlsson enough that they would trade for him with 4 years beyond this season at that dollar amount? Or, I mean, obviously there's retention that's possible there. So talk a little bit about that. Do you think that that is something that's even remotely possible?
Yeah, I do. I mean, this guy can still play. He's currently leading the league in scoring for defensemen. So yes, obviously he's going to have some value. Now, 11.5 million is going to be a hard pill to swallow, but let's say that certain cap is going up by 4 million next year if the players pay off their escrow account. So that won't be such a big hit anymore. And if you can get a little kickback to the Sharks for holding on to some salary, now we're talking $8-9 million for an Erik Karlsson. I think there are going to be a lot of teams that will be going after that. I mean, that would only be adding, let's say you get him for $8 million, you get the Sharks to hold $3.5 million, similar to what they did for Burns. And then the cap goes up by 4 million. That hit isn't going to be such a hit anymore to your team's cap. So yes, I think everybody is tradable. I think we're going to see more moves now that assuming the cap goes up by 4 million, we're going to see a lot more movement of teams making trades and doing some other stuff. So I think the Sharks are probably wise to try and get some movement now versus like next year when teams are probably going to be filling up that 4 million cap with more players and more movement. Probably in a good position for the Sharks to utilize hopefully make some cap space and utilize that as an asset for themselves. Again, like how much would $3.5 million, like what kind of draft pick would be $3.5 million for a team to swallow for 4 more years, right? Mm-hmm. At least a first round pick, first and maybe a second round for the next year after that. Who knows? So there is value to that, and teams will desperately do something, especially if they have one puck moving defenseman who happens to go down with an injury and they are a cup contender this year.
Let's check out this tweet of the week here because it is related. I don't know if Super Producer Jason's got this one. He's going to put it up, but I'll just start reading it. It's actually from Jerry Rice and Beans. It was a reply to ours, and unfortunately, it's a little small. So let me blow this thing up so I can see it. Erik Karlsson. This is me saying this. Erik Karlsson, hate all you want. That was gorgeous, referring to the goal. Your sarcastic replies bounce off me and stick to you. Very mature of me. Don't care what you say. Jerry Rice and Beans, awesome name. I mean, yeah, he's even picking up Burns' slack. I hope his play keeps up. Yes, there are defensive issues, but you win games by scoring more goals than the other team. If our team offense improves, could get real exciting. I do not disagree. And that's, again, for me, the whole point. Let's keep it exciting. Let's keep it entertaining. Again, Jerry Rice and Beans, again, awesome name. Thank you so much for your tweet. You are the tweet of the week. Congratulations. I think you win me clapping for you. Well done. Aaron, anything you want to say about this tweet here?
Yeah, well, Matt Lowe here just said, let EK65 dictate the move. If he wants to stay, he stays. I agree, because he signed that contract with a regime that is no longer with the Sharks. So he is now, wouldn't have to honor that contract as much. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't have to stay as loyal to the Sharks as if he had signed with Grier for that amount of money in that term. So, not to say his loyalty is gone, but maybe he would be open to moving somewhere. Who knows? Or moving to a contender even, really, because the Sharks are not really looking to be one for at least another year or two. And he's going to want to get a cup. So he probably will not want to wait until he's 38 years old, like Brent Burns, and getting traded to a cup contender after wasting 6 years of his career. So who knows? And let's just get into this. So Pierre LeBrun went on to TSN and he talked about the Sharks apparently are listening to any and all offers for anyone. And then he said that the only person that really is off the table is Tomas Hertl, because he just signed an $8 million or a 8-year deal with the Sharks. So pretty much everyone is tradable minus Hertl, is what he's saying. Now, a lot of people were kind of like, I saw some people that were upset about this, and I didn't understand why, because it's not Mike Grier coming out and announcing it. He's not like saying, hey, everyone's for sale. Like, to me, like, the big difference between this and, let's say, it not being public, whatever, is the fact that it went public, that it's kind of on paper in a way. It's not it's not everyone just speculating the Sharks are garbage and they're going to trade everyone and there's going to be a fire sale. It's more of Doug Wilson was so private and kept leaks to a minimum that we're not used to seeing this kind of out in the public. Now, I'm not saying Grier leaked it or there are leaks. Maybe he just is not as private or doesn't care as much. And it's also kind of a duh moment, right? Sharks are at the bottom of the league, of course. And so now the media is going to the players and the players like, yeah, let's get the reactions of the players. And I didn't get a quote of this, but I think it was Couture who basically was like, well, yeah, we kind of dictate this ourselves. It is a business. If we play great, we're going to be buyers. They're going to force the GM's hand to bring in more players. If we're playing terrible and we're losing, of course, people are going to go and they're going to get traded away. That's just part of the business. So it's not like there's harsh feelings and the locker room is upset and they're not going to be playing. Now they're basically playing for their next contract, their next career, or trying to get onto a team that's going to be a contender because they're going to win a cup. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's kind of getting blown out of proportion a little bit, but that's my thoughts. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting take. Before I say anything else about it, I do want the folks in the chat to let us know kind of how you guys feel about this. Again, Aaron, your take is very interesting where it's, people getting upset about it, but maybe it's just in the way that we've been so used to Doug Wilson keeping everything so close to the chest. And he's always said, every conversation I have with the players stays between me and the players, and everyone's respected that. And not that Mike Grier is going to be any different when it comes to his discussions with players. He doesn't owe that information to anybody. But we never really got this type of information before. It's always been like held so close. And for Grier to basically kind of come out and say, yeah, I'm, again, in your words, duh, right? I mean, this is how it is. This is the business of it. This is how it's going to be. Anybody's basically up for sale. Now, some folks, the thing that they didn't care for was that it was just Hertl. I think a lot of folks have certain players that they think should not be tradable. And one of those guys, for at least somebody in the chat here, was Mario Ferraro. And to some extent, I agree. I love Mario Ferraro. I love the way he plays. But is he one of those cornerstone type players that you build all the way around? I don't know that the answer to that question is yes, but he's absolutely like my favorite hard worker on the team. Although I will say 100%, Nico Sturm is slowly creeping into that category. That dude is a monster. But regardless, I think there are certain guys on the team that fans would look at and say, you know what, this guy really should be excluded along with Hertl. In so much that he's young, right? I'm still talking about Ferraro. And so that he's young, he's already really solid. He's going to grow and be better. Why would you want to move that guy? And the answer, unfortunately, is, again, it's a business. Think of the return you can get for a guy who is young, solid, has NHL experience, is only going to get better, right? So if your whole plan is to rebuild, you have to give up the things that people want. And if Ferraro was one of those guys, then yeah, absolutely. Based on the return, yeah, he's one of those guys that may have to end up going. Now, of course, we'd be more than happy to unload a guy like Cunnin. Cunnin just showed up on the team. He's amazing. I love his work ethic, but he's also not kind of like near and dear to anybody's hearts just yet, so it's easier to let him go. I think fans have a hard time, obviously, letting players go that they've kind of grown to like, and they've seen them on the team, having Marleau coming back year after year, having Thornton be here year after year, right? Nobody wanted to let them go. Everybody still hates that Pavelski's gone, right? So I think there's that level of that connectivity between fan and player. But at the end of the day, we do have to remember that it is a business. So I could understand why some of those guys would not be excluded like Hertl was. However, you had said earlier that, Karlsson doesn't necessarily need to stick to this regime because he has signed a contract with the old regime. Hertl's kind of still in that bucket. Now, Doug Wilson was on his way out, I guess, at that time. He was still at the helm, but he was just before he kind of took his leave, and they signed that contract with Hertl. So does Hertl really have anything to prove to anybody with like Mike Grier? Is there a reason why they wanted Hertl beyond how he just signed the contract for 8 years? And obviously he's very good, right? Is there anything more to that maybe people should be looking into? You know what I mean? Do you want to speak on that just a bit?
Right. I don't even know if Grier's the one that said that Hurdle's not is untouchable. I think it was more of Pierre LeBrun just saying most likely Hurdle won't be in that list because he just signed his contract. Maybe he wasn't even thinking that it wasn't even Grier that signed that contract, that it was actually Joe Will who was acting on behalf of Doug Wilson as an interim GM.
Right.
So I don't even want to say that Hurdle is untouchable because I think that everybody on this roster is tradable. I think they were just saying that because of the contract. That's it.
Oh, so you think that wasn't actually coming from Grier? You think it's just LeBrun speculating then?
That's what I think. Yeah. I think, I mean, not that he was, to me, I don't think that Grier is the one that like called Pierre LeBrun and told him this to tell the media, you know, like I think it's just Pierre connecting the dots. He probably has some inside information with some people that are close. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's like Doug Wade or someone that's in there in the front office that talks with Pierre, probably texts with him, and probably asked, you know, maybe, you know, who's untouchable, anybody? And he's like, nope. And so then he's like, oh, there's a whole story right there. And this is creating this whole thing. But going back to Cunnin, I think there are some people who do like Cunnin. I think we are one of them. Are we not?
We absolutely are. And to think otherwise would be total garbage.
No, it didn't work.
Nothing. I'm just setting him up for you, super producer Jason.
There it is. There it is.
Better late than never. Yeah. Okay, good. So
anyway, going back to what you said about Nico Sturm and Mario. To me, Mario's a good player, but I don't see him as untradeable. Yeah, he's a good locker room presence. He's a great player. I don't think he's not like an Erik Karlsson that's a generational player at that position. He's a top 4 defenseman in my mind. And I hate saying that because I love him. I wouldn't want him to get traded, but if the return was good, I would be like, okay, I can see that. And I'd be happy for him to continue his career in the NHL. And Nico Sturm, I think it's funny is he has 5 goals and no assists. He only scores goals, but he's a guy that is exactly like Mario, who works hard, and you're seeing more of a return because he's scoring goals versus being a defenseman who doesn't get that many goals. So, yeah. Anyway,
I think we need to do a little splash screen for Nico Sturm.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that guy.
Nico scoring like Marco.
Nice. Barracuda, buddy. Barracuda. I got a lot of people here keep saying like Zinksy. I see Zinksy saying Eklund. I see Scott K saying blow up the team completely, replace the current roster with the Barracuda. I disagree on that one. Actually, I like that they're in the AHL. I like that they're getting loads and loads of minutes. In fact, Aaron, why don't we just talk about that? Sure. I mean, these guys, unfortunately, the AHL doesn't track time on ice. We just found out, which sucks. But, Bordelot, Eklund, Merkley, they're getting a lot of ice time with the Barracuda. They're winning games, and they're playing meaningful minutes as offensive talents, not as grinders on a fourth line where they don't even belong, right? So I think this is the right move. This is, going back to Eklund and him going to, oh God, what's it called? Your Garden. I didn't want him to go there. You didn't care. I was more a proponent of him playing in the AHL at the time. Obviously this season, he's thriving and that's great. Maybe that had something to do with him going to Your Garden first. I don't know, but I'm more than happy to have him kind of, bake in the AHL. Honestly, between the two of them, and we talked about this last show, the meme that I made, I think Bordelot is more NHL ready than Eklund is. That's just me. But it's so much fun watching these guys, the talent levels off the charts, and for them to kind of showcase it against other players that are kind of more in their realm right now, I think is the right move. I don't think that you want to bring them up to the NHL and give them minutes that are not meaningful minutes and not in the role that they're supposed to be playing in any way. I think it's good to have them in the AHL, dominate, win some games, be the man down there, and then build that confidence and bring it into the Sharks locker room next season and the season after.
Absolutely. You're building chemistry with them right now, with each other. So build the chemistry down there, give them more minutes so they're going to get top line for everything. These guys are not guys that should be third or fourth line guys. They need to be in the top 6. And when you don't really have room in the top 6 or they're not ready for top 6 in the NHL, it's better for them to bake at the AHL level and get their confidence up, get their game going, and not just their offense, but the whole 200-foot game. And that's what a lot of NHL coaches look for, especially in rookies, what they do off the puck. When they're not doing it, if they're not playing defense off the puck, they're not in right position, they're not doing all the little things, they're not going to get minutes. They're going to get demoted. They're going to go to the third, fourth line. And then everyone's going to say the coach just hates young guys. Well, kinda. That's not really, they don't hate him because he's young. They hate him because he's not doing the things that he needs to do. So this is a chance for them to work on that in a little bit less pressure of an environment. Be the guys, be the men, be down there, get those minutes and get that experience under your belt and show the team that you're ready so that when they come to camp next summer, they're going to be playing out and beating out those guys for the top, or not the top line, but the being in the top 6. So that's the whole, that's what a lot of NHL teams, I don't want to say every team does this, but a lot of NHL teams do this. Detroit's probably one of the better examples where they really keep their prospects lower in the AHL to kind of really let them bake before they bring them on. And then by the time they bring them on, they're exploding on the scene. I think that's the right way to do it, especially when the Sharks are not going to be competitive. Blowing up the team completely and replace the roster. Scott K just said that. No, there's no point. They won't be better than what the Sharks are right now. There's 0 point in doing that. You're going to get a top 5 pick this draft, this upcoming very deep draft, and all those top 5 guys are most likely going to be NHL ready next season, starting next season. So now you're going to throw in that very high skilled forward with Bordeleau and Eklund probably as your second line, maybe third line. Then you got Couture, Hurdle, Meyer, and maybe Barabanov and a couple other guys. And now you got some more competition for people to really fight for those positions for those top 6. It's breeding in a competitive environment, and there's no reason for them to blow up the team. In fact, blowing up the team, is that not what Pierre LeBrun just basically announced, that the Sharks are blowing up the team? They're listening to all offers.
Yeah.
It's happening. It is happening right now.
Which is interesting because, again, we've never seen a full-blown rebuild, right? We've never seen that with the Sharks, a full-blown rebuild. It's always been a retooling or whatever, something, but it's never been a rebuild. So Mike Grier taking steps that we haven't seen before. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
You see fans get upset. They're like, why don't you just blow up the team and start trading everyone? Well, when you start forcing trades and start doing them so quickly, you're not going to get a return. Look at Brent Burns' return.
Yeah.
Not great, right? You can't do that for an entire team, then it's not going to help you. There's no point. Plus, the Sharks need to have a competitive team that is entertaining on the ice, because it is the entertainment business. They are not just here to win a Stanley Cup. They're here to be entertaining and to sell tickets. That's the business side. You have to do it. You can't be the Oakland A's and get rid of everybody and have no names and expect to sell tickets. Nobody's going to want to come to those games.
Right.
So you can't do that. You can't just blow up a team like that. It's not how it works in hockey.
Scott's saying, I agree. My comment was extreme. I don't know, Scott, if you've seen the error in your ways or if you're backpedaling right now, buddy, but own it. Okay. Own it. That was your comment. I'm just messing with you, buddy. Thank you for your comment. I do appreciate that. Patrick Cabral having a laugh down there. I'm not going to highlight the other comment there that he's laughing about, but we'll pretend that he was laughing at that was my comment was extreme comment there. So there you go. Aaron, again, back to the Barracuda real quick. Some really interesting stuff happened, and it didn't have anything to do with Eklund, Bordeleau, or Merkley. Why don't you go ahead, since you were at the game?
Sure.
I didn't get to go to this one. What did you see?
All right, so I'll set this up a little bit. I was going with the whole family, so I brought all 3 of my kids and my wife, and even my sister and her whole family came. So I think she got another 3 kids. So, of course, getting 6 kids into a game is never easy. So we actually just missed what just happened. So we get there and we're walking in. They're playing the national anthem. You can hear it from outside as we're walking to the arena. And then we want to get some food. So we go and get some food. Then we get to our seats. And as we get to our seats, I see, was it Weatherby was fighting with someone. And I was like, oh, man. I look at the clock. I'm like, the game hasn't even started. These guys are going to get booted. So they get booted. Anyway, later on, I find out there was an entire line brawl before the game started, before the puck was dropped. So 4 guys on both sides, both teams, so 8 guys total, got booted before the game even started. So they each had 1 defenseman and 3 forwards because both teams started their 4th line. So they had no 4th line for the entire game for either team, and they were down a defenseman the whole time. So there was a lot of minutes to go around. So Bordelot, Eklund, Merkley, they got a lot of minutes in that game. And again, I couldn't look it up because they don't keep track. But it was a very interesting game, and the benches were very light for the game, especially when they started taking actual penalties later in the game, and the bench was even getting shorter and shorter, or I guess bigger and bigger. The bench is getting bigger because there's more space.
More spacious.
Yeah, spacious. So the Barracuda lost this game in shootout. Went all the way to the shootout. But what I liked is they were playing the Roadrunners, and I think it's Arizona's AHL team.
Yeah.
They don't have that many skilled guys down there. The 2 goals that they got, they scored 2 kind of quick in the first period. They were very ugly, scrummy kind of goals. They weren't like fun. They were just boring, right? Then the Barracuda came back and I think they tied it. And then they took the lead briefly for like 15 seconds. And then the Roadrunners tied it up right away. So then it was 3-3, I think, going into the 3rd period. And nothing happened in the 3rd period. Then it went to overtime, a lot of exciting, plays, but no goals. And then they went to the shootout. And Bordelot, actually, it was Eklund, Bordelot, and I want to say it was Gushin was the other shooter. Bordelot was the last shot, and he needed to score in order to keep it going, and he hit the crossbar. I mean, he sniped it, but he hit the crossbar and it bounced out. Like it was a for sure goal. Just completely beat the goalie. But anyway, it was fun. It was a fun game, entertaining. Couple fights, big hits. It's very different than NHL hockey. A lot of these guys are trying to make a name for themselves. So you see more big hits and more fights, and just also they play like baseball where they play a lot of back-to-backs. So they had just played them the night before. So they really hate each other. Stuff carries over to the game. So you see more. It's almost like, I want to say almost like playoff hockey. Not quite. But, just you could feel the anger on both sides, that they just are frustrated and hate each other. It's great.
I wish they would bring that to the NHL. I know they did that during the whole COVID season briefly there, right? Because it was easier to have teams play in groups. I wish they would do that more. I like that. There was, again, like you said, that kind of playoff atmosphere, that feeling that the teams kind of really do hate each other, right? Because they've been seeing each other like so often in a short period of time. They're just kind of sick of each other, kind of like siblings. Anyway, I'm looking at the stats for that game, and it is absolutely hilarious. If you get the opportunity, guys, to go check out theahl.com and check out their stats page, it is like for penalties, first period 0-0:0-0, fighting 5 minutes, game misconduct, fighting other than during periods of game 10 minutes, and it's like that just on repeat. Like somebody just hit copy paste and change the names for like 8 players, because as Aaron said, 4 players on each team got the same penalty. But it's just like it's a laundry list of like 0-0. Fighting and a game misconduct for fighting other than during periods of game. How specific, by the way. I think that's really cute.
Very specific.
Fighting other than during periods of game. This was a rough one, buddy. Apart from the brawl that happened prior to the game's start, there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalties at the 20-minute mark. So as the horn goes, there was an unsportsmanlike, some roughings, misconducts. I mean, again, fellas, if you're not watching Barracuda hockey, you're missing out. I'm telling you. I would have loved to go to this game.
The referees did not have control of this game whatsoever. That you could just, there was a bunch of infractions that should have been called, and even both players, like the guy who does it looks back at the ref like, And then everyone was just going, "Are you kidding me? Like, you didn't call that?" And there was just a lot of that happening. So then that an already chippy game just makes it even worse because you feel like the ref doesn't care, kind of. So then you just take more liberties when you can. So it just got dirty and dirty and dirtier. It's fun though.
Interesting.
It's fun.
Interesting that both of them started the fourth line. You remember that it was John Tortorella with the Flames, I think, when they had that big brawl because they both put their fourth lines on. And there was like in the locker room, they were like fighting in the hallway. It was crazy. Anyway, really cool stuff. Again, check out the Barracuda, really awesome stuff. Aaron, let's check out the week ahead for the San Jose Sharks. We've got 3 games this week: Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Interestingly, we play the same team twice, and it's not back to back.
I know. I had to look this up. I was like, did I write this down correctly? Like, this is weird in the schedule because usually you'd see when you play a back-to-back, or not even back-to-back, but you play the same team twice in a week. It's a home and away kind of. And it's Anaheim. They're close. But no, there's 2 home games. So speaking of the schedule, and they're playing each other quite recently, I bet that Saturday game against Anaheim is going to be a little chippy. Because right now they're both fighting for Bedard.
Tank hard for Bedard.
Tank hard for Bedard. They're both going for Bedard. Right now in the standings, let's see, based on win percentage, the Sharks are winning the Bedard sweepstakes because they played more games and they have more losses. But points wise, Anaheim's at 5 points. The Sharks are at 6 points. So the Sharks are actually ahead of them in the standings right now.
No.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting couple of games here. I bet there's going to be some fisticuffs going on. And then Thursday against Florida, I wonder if Joe Thornton will be in the house for that game because he is local in San Jose area. I bet he'll be at the game, and I bet he gets highlighted in it. That's my
saw him today, actually.
You saw him today?
Saw him today.
He was at the Barracuda game apparently because I saw a guy next to us showing a picture. He was in the elevator. And Joe Thornton was in the elevator with him. He was like, "Oh my God, can I get a selfie?" And he got a selfie with him.
Nice.
And
That's
again,
awesome.
there was like, I don't know, a couple hundred fans at the Barracuda game. It was very low attendance.
Nice. Yeah, no, his because all the kids they play in 10U now. Like his kid, Hannon's kid, mine, they all play on different teams, but they all play at that level. So when they play each other, we kind of start seeing each other and whatnot. So just kind of cool. Again, it's tough because you want to give him his space because it's Jumbo and he's probably doesn't want people coming up to him all the time. But it's like, bro, elephant in the room. Everyone here wants to say hi to you. Come on. And even like some of the parents that are on that have the kids on the same team, some of the parents like, I can't help but fanboy over him, dude. It's so funny, man. It really is.
The beard, man. He needs to shave that beard. It's so gross.
No,
it stands out too. It's like, oh, that's Jumbo. Like, duh.
Keep it until you go bald and then pull it up to the top so that you don't have to go with the toupee route. That's my advice to him. Okay, so that's we talked about Thursday here against Florida and then Saturday again against Anaheim. Now, you said the first one's going to be chippy. Do you think it's going to be even worse on Saturday then?
I think so. I think the Saturday game is going to be the one to be at. It'll be a Saturday night game. It'll be well attended. The Sharks and the Ducks are going to be really sick of each other at that point already. So yes, I think that will be a good one.
All right, very good. Anything else? Was there anything in the comments that you wanted to pull out and
sure? Patrick, Jason already answered it, but Patrick asked if there's any updates on the Studio 2 completion, and Jason answered saying it will be announced soon. He's been delayed with some things in that room, but we will be in studio hopefully in the coming weeks.
We've got some concept art. Super producer Jason's doing some 3D modeling type stuff, and we talked about our backgrounds, maybe emulating a little bit of what that might look like.
A little preview. The texture behind us is a little preview of what's to come.
That is correct. So yeah, hopefully we get that sooner than later. And super producer Jason, I'm more than happy to come and help set things up. So let me know. Bud. Yeah, man. If I gotta dump that desk, dude, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll get Luke Cunnin out there to help us out, garbage man. There you go.
We'll celebrate with some pie.
Some pie, yeah. No, people know. People remember.
Oh, okay? I know.
They remember. If you don't remember, Aaron is owed a pie in the face for insisting that Noah Gregor is going to score 10 goals in a season, and he did
last year. It was last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah. So there you go. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Thank you, super producer Jason. They don't even make pies though. Anyway. Okay, I think that does it, right? I mean, there's nothing else you want to bring, nothing else you want to post. Wow. Do you want to plug anything, I guess?
Look out for something coming in the coming weeks. We're going to be doing a live show remotely, possibly. We're still working on the details, so no promises, but that'll be I think in 2 weeks, roughly 2 weeks time frame.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, again, if you I quit. I've been censored. There you go. If you are not subscribed, please go ahead and do that. Hit that notification bell so that you know when we do that thing that Aaron is referring to, or just any of these lives. And we love having you guys in here and having all the fun comments and whatnot. Again, more than anything else, I'd appreciate you guys hitting us with a share, a retweet, a whatever. Get us out there. Have some of your friends and family get into these things too. Chat with us. It's a lot more fun. We got a lot of people talking. We've had a pretty good showing tonight of people having their comments in there. So it's been fun picking those ones out and having little bits of conversation around that. And then, of course, when we post a question to you and you guys kind of give us answers, what you guys think. So it's good to hear from you guys as well. So I think that's going to do it. And we do appreciate you. If you want to support the show, by the way, again, Super Chat's always there. You can use Venmo as well at The Fin Factor. You can also go to thefinfactor.com. That's where we have our support the show link. You can pick up hats, shirts, hoodies, fanny packs, mugs, water jug thing. I always screw that up. Water bottles? Thank you. Jeez, I don't know why. That white thing Aaron's holding. There you go.
Why is that so difficult?
We got stickers, and you can put stickers on your water bottle. See, I said it right that time. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, you could do that if you'd like to get something back for supporting the show. So thank you so much. Again, Lundy, thank you for chipping in today. We appreciate you, buddy. And we'll talk more about Braun as soon as he gets on the Sharks. For super producer Jason, I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.